computer. Okay, so I'll stop the share for a second. All right, so everyone, welcome to week 5. Can you even believe that it's 5 weeks in, but here we are, and this is the week that counts. Venus goes retrograde on Sunday. All right, so I'm sure that you are all feeling the effects of Venus and her slowing to next to nothing. This, this self-reflective place in our life where we're looking at the things that are stopping us from being our best as well, oh, hang on, I'm going to share again. There we go, share again. All right, so right now we have Venus at 27 degrees of Leo. She's still conjunct Mars. All right, now she's forming. Okay, so she's separating in her conjunction to Mars. So she's literally turned her back on him, and she is doing the she's doing that self-examination where she's got her, she's got her robes out of the wardrobe, and she's doing she's got a checklist. She's doing a radical reassessment of herself, her feminine principles, her place in life as well. Now, just when I was just saying to Kathy about Venus this week, we had that in conjunct, all right, so this one here to Neptune here in Pisces, and also the in conjunct to Pluto in Capricorn. What does that mean? All right, she is no longer satisfied to put herself last. All right, she is making adjustments. All right, so in the air in general this week, we have Pluto and the sun opposing each other. All right, so the family systems that we have grown up with, the nurturing principles, the ancestry, our home, there's a whole lot of dissatisfaction in the air. All right, now so that's just in general for the sun, Pluto. Now, Venus is, like I said, she's stopped and she's looking at herself and her life. She's feeling this Pluto-Sun opposition, and she is making the changes necessary, all right? Now, change is hard for everybody. Nobody likes change, but now is the time to do it, and people are actually starting to get the bravery up to do the things, all right? Part of this is Mars in Virgo. He is also doing a detailed analysis of life, and Mars in Virgo is giving us the bravery to act on those finer points. All right, so they're still conjunct, they're still within vicinity of each other, but they're not really talking. But he's just like, okay, I've scrutinized the list. I've looked at the numbers, I've crunched some figures, and shit needs to change. All right, so everything in the sky this week is saying change, for God's sake, change. This morning I was talking about, I'd listened to Kelly Surtees, and she used the analogy that she'd missed a season of gardening, so she didn't get to pull the weeds out last season. Now, in order for her to plant the new crop of things that are more suitable in her garden right now, she's got to do twice as much gardening and effort to remove all of the old growth that we've been ignoring for so long, to make sure that the new, more suitable, more nourishing, prettier plants are planted. All right, so now the other leg of the in conjunct, like I said, we've got Pluto and Capricorn. She realizes that the old foundations, Capricorn, all right, so Capricorn is like the corporate structure of our life. We have built our ideals upon these things for the longest time. It's the opposition to Cancer, which is ancestry and hereditary. And I put that thing in the group the other day, tradition, peer pressure from dead people. And that is exactly what this is. She is looking at the peer pressure that has put her in the position she's in right now, and she's just like, no more. I must do the work to make sure that the changes are done. All right, so when Pluto moves back into Aquarius, we're building this new, utopian fantasy of a life built on some solid things that we need now in life, or that we want now, okay. And then, like I said, the other leg being the Neptune in Pisces, where they're both retrograde. With everything retrograde, we are looking within to find the answers. We can't ask other people to do this shit for us. We must do it ourselves. All right. So Neptune in Pisces, we are looking at our own faults as well. All right. So, she is saying no more. She's saying no more to the old ways, but she's also taking those rose-colored glasses off and realizing that she has got herself to the position she's in by not standing up for herself as well. Okay. Now, this could look like, maybe there's some sort of health issue, all right, because Pisces rules weird health ailments, water retention, drugs, unusual diagnoses. All right, but it could be like, all right, so you've put on heaps of weight and you're feeling like shit, but you're drinking all the time. Stuff like that. You could get to that point where you're like, oh, okay, as soon as Venus turns retrograde and everything else is retrograde, we've got this mirror in our faces. We cannot blame anyone else, and we cannot ask anyone else. It is totally up to us to make the changes that's necessary. All right. So that was just Venus and the yod that she's in. Now, the yod is, I'll just go to into the modules in the course notes. All right. Come on. Okay. All right. Okay. So what else have I written? All right. So the nod is about reconciling aspects of your relationships, especially where your own self-development is concerned. Again, with you are responsible for your own lives. You cannot blame or ask other people to do the work for you. Okay. Now, what else is there? There are, all right, questions to ask yourself. What are your personal values and spiritual aspirations being considered? Okay, so if it is in a personal relationship, is the other person, do you possibly have a misogynistic partner in the case of a female, or whatever the relationship is the person respecting you? Have you just always kept the peace so that there's no drama? You know what I mean? In this case, I'm thinking of situations where, we grow up seeing dysfunctional family patterns, and we just automatically repeat those dysfunctional family patterns. We don't have any other language or any other example to live by. But in the current era of psychology and counseling and personal development, we now have the language and understanding to see how all of this is played out. Venus and the inconjunct to the outer planets being generational is the point at which people are now saying no, and all of the things. All right. So another one to consider, are there power struggles in relationships causing conflict? And then there's that, are you just keeping the peace? Directly I'm thinking of, I'm going to use myself. I have an awesome relationship with my ex now, but when I was in that relationship, it was fear-based, and I felt like I couldn't have done anything other than what I was doing to make the situation better. I just survived and accepted what was going on until it got to the point where it broke completely, and then I had to deal with the fallout. But now, as at my age and the experience I have now, you know, it's easier to articulate to the younger generation what things look like now. So again, the outer planets being in play means that everybody is learning this thing. So, you know, people like I was telling Abby the other day, people like Nicole LaPera, you know, How to Do the Work. This is one of the best books that I have, and I talk about it all the time because she is a current, and our generation, she speaks to us directly. She uses words that are easy to understand and terminology that is, you know, you can absolutely understand it. It's not something that's far out and Freudian, and it's not all about phallic symbols. It's about you living in dysfunctional circumstances and not having to be feeling guilty or feeling like there's the blame game. It's you personal responsibility for personal development. Okay. So that is just the yod aspect. All right, what else did I say here? So yeah, so now on Sunday, she goes blah blah. She turns retrograde on Sunday the 23rd, so the upcoming Sunday at 11:32 a.m. Now, there is so much stuff going on Sunday. I'll talk about that in a minute, but just reinforce yourself and get ready, guys, because it's going to be a doozy. Okay. Now, what else is playing out this week for Venus? Now, beautifully, Venus is going to be trine the North Node, all right? So even though she's stationary or very slow, she can actually envision a better future for herself. The universe is giving us all of the messages in your own words and in your own life. I'm sure that the universe is showing you all of the possibilities. And, you know, it's with the sextile, okay, so the trine is a harmonious, they're talking to each other nicely. Sextile, the cogs are working really well and we're able to easily release stuff. Okay, so the sextile to the South Node means that maybe we're getting the assistance, or, you know, we're finding situations that allow us to easily release things. So again, you know, this looking in the mirror and the disillusion of the illusion is allowing us to just be really blunt and take stock. Like, you know, it's not about shame. It's about moving through things. All right. So this week with Venus trine the North Node, it's giving us the vision to have hope that the new path will play out beautifully. Now, the nodes are moving tomorrow, so I'll talk about that later as well, but it moves out of a place where, you know, there's a little bit of, okay, so, all right, stop, Bridget. I'll talk about that later. Anyway, there's a flip, so in a minute. All right. So now Venus moves into this trine of the North and the sextile of the South mode on the 3rd of October. So this is like a glimpse of the potential of that early October timeline. Now, in the words here, I've written that this Venus will be trine the South node in the 3rd week of November. All right. So the things that we're working on releasing now, we may revisit that in a really final way in that 3rd week of October. So like I'm saying, we're seeing it now as a potential. We're going to see it again as something more concrete in the 1st week of October. And then if it's not finalized by then I definitely think that 3rd week of November is another time where, you know, 3 hits, you're out type thing. Oh, I like that. I just made that up. All right. So, okay. So it could look like a helpful person coming into your life, showing you a new way of doing things. And because Venus rules money, maybe it's a new understanding about money and its relation between your self-worth and your financial security. So there was also another bit, maybe it's an old debt being paid off. I don't know where I read it, but just the combination of things made me think that maybe we can organize a payment system or some sort of new budget, or like I said, an old debt just being wiped clean. Did I hear? I mean, I've heard this story before from people, but someone was telling me just recently that they approached their credit card supplier and told them that they couldn't pay it. They offered such a small amount as the pay, at how much they could pay per week, that they just wiped it clear. And it was just like, okay, well, there's the thing. You don't know unless you try. And they'd done this, and then they agreed that they would not open a credit card again. Like, you know, corporate people believing that. But I mean, you know, if someone gets themselves into trouble and they say, I'm not going to do it again, then maybe they won't. Anyway, that's besides the point. So looking at these, you know, these old things that we can release, all right? And you know, even the relationship between money and self-worth, you know, if you have a lack of self-worth, then you don't believe that you generally don't believe that you deserve abundance or you deserve success. So self-worth and deserving the good things in life go hand in hand as well. So, you know, maybe this time will, you know, your abundance will increase potentially after the retrograde, you know, once you do that journey into the cave, you know. So you know, when she goes retrograde, it is the time when we walk into that challenging part of the hero's journey where, you know, self-reflection is needed, and you can't lie to yourself. All right, so, you know, we're getting into the prickly stuff, but it's okay because it's supposed to be here. You're supposed to be doing this at this time. Okay. Now, moving on. All right. Now, Venus is opposing Saturn at this time as well. Well, let's go over to this one. Okay. So now Venus, now it's a very wide opposition, but it's still there. All right. So now Venus, with, you know, with her stopping and doing this contemplation, she's actually looking into her memory banks. Okay. Now, our subconscious and our memories are a 12th house realm. Saturn is going through and he is restructuring all our old beliefs. And with him retrograde, again, look, everything is retrograde at the moment, or it's going to be when she goes. Well, it's not, but we're entering that part of the year where, you know, it's quiet and it's cold, and, you know, it's the perfect time to just sit and do that reflection. So, you know, when we're sitting and reflecting and we get those physical responses to memories, they're the ones that you need to jot down, or they're the ones that, if you can't deal with it at that time, just put it aside and revisit it later when you're in a better frame of mind. You know, in the words for today, I wrote that, you know, you don't have to push too far out of your comfort zone if you don't have the support around you to hold your hand if you find yourself in need. So if you are in an overwhelmed position, just put it to the side, but you know, acknowledge and take note, and then work on it at a future time where you are more supported or inclined to do that. Okay, so that's pretty much what Venus is doing for this week. Where's my mouse? Okay, I've lost my mouse. Oh, there it is. Okay, all right. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. All right. So just to read there, it is make or break time where relationships are concerned. It's time to face some hard choices. All right. So Venus rules relationships. Okay. So, however, in saying that, it gives you an opportunity to reap the rewards of the hard work you have already done, especially if you are in the therapy realm. You know, I definitely would say Saturn in Pisces is a place of therapy. So if you are putting in the work and doing that subconscious understanding stuff, then perfect time for it. And Saturn Pluto, honesty is needed. Blunt force trauma honesty. If you cannot be honest with a partner because you fear the ramifications of that, then what are you doing? You know, I mean, I know I'm pretty brutal as a Scorpio, but if you can't be honest with someone, then what's the point? You know, I mean, yes, I know that some people need to have secrets, but when it comes to the really important stuff, hard words need to be said. Okay, so don't try to escape reality. Approach with realistic ideas, and the facts and the viability of a union will show itself. Okay, and also, I know I was saying this today. Someone asks you a question, notice your first physical reaction. Okay, that is where truth lays. Your body does not lie. Your body keeps score. There's a great book about that one. Your body holds all of the old trauma. So, you know, if you're confronted with something or if you're holding back, just take note of what your body's doing. You know, it does not lie. So I will stop the recording for that.